Hello, my darling friends. Welcome back. It is so good to see you all. I am very happy to be here today. As a lot of you know, last week I traveled home. We had a bit of a family emergency, and I do want to respect the privacy of my family, so I won't divulge any details. However, I will say that my mother is recovering and she's on the mend. So we're doing so much better. I thank all of you so much for your prayers last week, your well wishes, and all of your kind thoughts. Y'all, that just means so much to me. So thank you so much, all of you, for every one of you who were praying and sending all of your thoughts our way. So I would like to say, over the next couple of weeks, things are probably going to be looking a little bit different for me, as I will be traveling home more frequently to spend some time with my mother as she is recovering. So my schedule is going to look a little different, and I will be putting content out every single week. I plan to have something for y'all each and every week. However, I just don't know if I will be posting every Friday like I normally do. Some weeks it might be Friday, some weeks it might be Saturday, and some weeks it could even be Sunday. So y'all bear with me as we just get through this and I work through my schedule. Like I said, I will be traveling home a little bit. I am really blessed that I only live a couple hours away from my mom and sister and dad and my family at my hometown. So I am lucky that I can just hop in the car and only drive a couple hours and be home. So I will be making more frequent visits to see my mom and to spend time with her as she's recovering. So with all of that said, I do have some fun projects planned for us today. So let's just go jump right into it. Alrighty, y'all. So for our projects this week, I did want to keep things fairly simple. So to be very honest with you, my creativity has been a little bit dull. And so I thought this might be a fun way to give myself a little bit of a diversion and still have some projects that are going to be fun. I have a sign on my front porch, and we made it actually, I think last year we made this together, and I'll link that video down below, but it is completely wore out. It did not survive the winter. So I want to replace the sign on my front porch with just a fun new welcome sign. And then this next project is completely unrelated, but I need to have, well, I don't need to have, but I would like to have a fun little sign in my guest bedroom that shows my company, my guests, the Wi-Fi password and our Wi-Fi network and whatnot. So I thought it would be fun to create a cute little sign that we can put in the guest bedroom. So we will be working out in the shop today. Michael's going to step in and give us a helping hand. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy these projects. I do hope that they will give you some inspiration and some fun ideas for maybe your guest bedroom or your front porch. Two completely unrelated places, but I still think we're going to have fun. So let's head out into the shop and get started with project number 1. The first thing I'm going to do to get this project started is first create my design. And I am using Canva to create my designs. And I really love Canva because it's super user friendly. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do enjoy this program a lot. And they do have a free version as well as a paid version. I use the paid version just because there's a little bit more available to me through that. But y'all, they do have a free version if you would like to check this out. I'll link a link in the description box for y'all. So I've just come in and I'm creating all of my letters for our welcome sign. That's what we're going to be creating in this project, is a brand new welcome sign design for my front porch. Once I've created my letters and chosen the style that I like, I can export these as an SVG file, which is really easy for me to just upload right into Xtools software. So that's what we're going to do to cut these letters out, y'all. We are really enjoying our Xtool M1 laser cutter. We have just made so many projects with this. I should probably create some kind of a short or something that shows all the projects. Michael is really having a good time with this. So now I've just imported my lettering into Xtool. I'm going to go ahead and size it to the exact sizes that I need for our backing board, and then I will go ahead and just cut these out. It is such a simple process. Before we got our laser cutter, Michael and I used to cut all these types of projects out on our scroll saw, and I just have to say, y'all, this is so cool. It is so cool to be able to just design something, send it to the Xtool machine, and then the laser cutter does all the work. I love this. So here are all of our letters cut out, and we've chosen the backing board that we want to place these on. But y'all, I want to elevate this just a little bit. I don't want to just come in and glue all of these letters straight down to the backing board. So we're going to create these to look a little bit 3D. We're going to pop them off the board a little bit. So Michael has come in, he's given me a helping hand, kind of helping me decide how we're going to do this. And we did end up deciding to go ahead and pop them off the back of the board using little tiny dowels. I didn't want to use square blocks to do this just because I think I like the clean look of the dowels better. But if you don't want to go through this same process, you could very easily use just some flat pieces of wood, glue the pieces of wood to your backing board, and then glue them to the letters, and they'll pop right off just like that. It'll be just as cool. So because we did decide to use dowels to do this, though, Michael he placed all the letters out on our backing board, and then he's coming in and he's going to trace all of the letters onto the backing board, and this is going to help him have a guideline of where to drill all of the holes for our dowels. Okay, so you can see here, this is what we're going for. So Michael has traced all of this lettering on, and this is going to give him, and then he's decided where he's going to place all the dowels. So he's placed little dots on all the letters. This will be the placement of the dowels, and you can kind of see here the look that we're going for. So we're just going to use those dowels to pop those letters right up off the board. And we did this for each and every one of the letters. Now it's time to start drilling, and I don't remember what size dowel and drill bit Michael used here to do this, but I will list it in the description box for y'all. So now he's just going to come in and start drilling all the holes, and these are going to be what we stick the dowels in so that we can attach the letters to the tops of these dowels to give us that fun 3D look. All right, so Michael has gotten all the holes drilled for all of our dowels so that we can pop our letters off. Now it's time to start working on the frame. And Michael
he kind of just started out by sizing some pieces of wood to this, deciding what he was going to use and how he was going to go about doing it. And he was nice enough to film this part for me and tell y'all his process. I was away visiting my mother while he did this. So at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to Michael and let him tell you how he created the frame for our backing board here for our welcome sign.
Okay, so the way I like to do this is I like to use the thickness of these materials to go ahead and mark the edges and the corners. But I like to do one side first. So I'm going to show you how, and then get that lined up, figure out where these should start, and then do this one. But I'm going to show you how we do this. So I just line up these two pieces like this, make sure it's nice and flush in the back, and then I mark this. And then I make myself a little line that tells me which direction to cut the miter. So then, once I have that, I bring it over here on this side, make sure it's nice and flush, and then I make a mark here. So I know it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but I make a mark here. And then I tell myself, it's a little arrow, that I want that to go that way. So now these two should meet up. And then I do the same thing on this side. And then I go that way. All right, so then those two should meet up. So we'll go ahead and we'll get the other side cut and make sure it fits, and then we'll come back here and we'll mark it for length and fit it. Okay, so now we have the frame all cut out, and all the corners fit really well. There's a little bit of bow, but when we attach it, it'll tighten right up. I had it clamped up earlier and it looked good. So now we have the full frame done for our sign. We have all the holes drilled to make the letters stand out. So now it'll just be a little bit of sanding to clean things up, and this will be ready for paint. Okay, I made up this little jig to use on the scroll saw to cut these little tiny dowels, just to be safe and to make it the same each time. So I did the test one and it worked, and now I will do one for all the holes that we have in this board, which is a lot. So this will make it nice and repeatable and quick. So this is the jig that's on the scroll saw, so it just rides along that piece and cuts the dowel at the right length and keeps it nice and square, and keeps my fingers away from things. All right, we got all 31 of those dowels cut out. That jig worked really, really well. So this is how it looks. Pretty cool. So those will get glued and pounded down so they're only a ½ inch above the material, but that'll make the letters stick out. So yeah, that's all of them.
That was definitely a lot of dowels to cut out, and I'm very thankful that Michael had the genius ability to create that little jig so that he didn't lose any fingers. Okay, so now y'all, we're going to go ahead and start painting all of our pieces here, and I decided to go ahead and paint my welcome letters in black chalk paint, and I'm just using Waverly's black chalk paint here to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint the fronts, the backs, and the sides of all of these pieces. now that we have all of our lettering painted, I'm going to go ahead and set these aside to dry. And while those are drying, I'm going to work on the frame. So for this welcome sign, I did decide to paint the lettering black, and just to give it a nice accent, I'm also going to paint the frame black, but I'm going to leave the backing board in its natural color because I just think that will create a really beautiful contrast. So we'll go ahead and get all of our frame pieces also painted here, and I do paint only 3 sides of these because one side you won't even see at all. Now we get to move on to my favorite part, and that is assembling our entire sign. So again, Michael's jumping in, giving me a helping hand here, and we're going to just go ahead and start by first gluing all of our top and bottom pieces of the frame to the sign. So we're starting with our longest pieces, getting those glued into place. Then we will put some clamps on this. We use lots of clamps to make sure it's really securely held into place. And then we will come in and attach the end pieces. Alrighty, so we've got everything glued into place, and now it's time to start placing our clamps. And I do feel like it is very important to use clamps for this step, because if you have a piece of wood that is slightly bowed, using the clamps will make sure that you get good contact between each piece of wood and the glue. It just pulls everything together and gives you that nice, strong, secure hold. All right, y'all, so we've gone ahead, clamped everything. We let it sit for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Then we came in, removed all of the clamps, and so now it's time to start gluing in all 32 of these dowels. These are the dowels that we're going to use to place our letters on top of to give our letters that nice raised 3D look. So we are just going to go ahead and place a little bit of glue on each one of the dowels. Then we just tap it in a little bit. Michael does have a board underneath this frame, and that board is what's going to stop our dowels from going too far in so that they are completely flush with the back. I hope that made sense. So he just glues, taps, and then cleans off the glue, and just like that, all 32 of our pegs are into place, and now we can go ahead and start placing our letters. To attach our letters to the tops of each one of these dowels, we're going to, of course, come in with some wood glue. And by the way, we are using waterproof wood glue for everything on this sign because it is going to be hung outside, and I want it to be weatherproof. And the type of glue that we're using here is the Tight Bond. I think it's the number 2. It's the waterproof Tight Bond one. So anyway, after Michael gets the glue down, we go ahead and set the letter into place, and then he comes in with his brad nailer and puts a tiny little pin nail into each one of these between the letter and the dowel. He's just reinforcing the letter to the dowel to make sure that they are really well secured and held into place. So we're just going to go ahead and repeat this entire process for all 7 of our letters. if you do not have a nail gun, you can use itty bitty nails to accomplish this exact same thing. You do just want to make sure that they are really small nails, and they'll probably leave a little bit bigger. You'll see the nail heads, because those really tiny nails are going to have a nail head, where these finished nails that Michael's using don't have a nail head. But I still think that would look okay, especially if you used black nails. So that would work just fine if you don't have a nail gun. Oh yeah, I also forgot to tell y'all that when we took all the clamps off the framing, even though we used glue, we did come in after the clamps were removed, we came in and reinforced the framing all around our backing board with some finished nails as well. All right, y'all, this is looking so good. I am loving how this sign has turned out. I love that it's just a little bit unique, a little bit different. I really like that we popped the letters off the backing board to just give it a little bit of that three-dimensional look. And as Michael and I were doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, how cool would it be to put some lights behind this? So that might be step 2 of this welcome sign. All right, so after we get the whole thing assembled, we do take it outside and spray a protective coat over this. We are just using, oh my gosh, I forgot what kind of spray protectant he is using, but it is a waterproof spray sealer, and Michael's just coming in and covering the entire thing. He covers the front, the back, and all the sides. After that dries, we do come in and pre-drill some holes so that we can hang this up on the side of the house near our front entryway. So he's just pre-drilling the hole here, and then he does come in with a countersink bit and just countersink this a little bit so that the nail heads or the screw heads kind of go in just a little bit and they're not sitting right on top of the frame. Now we get to hang it, and I'm so excited about this part. It's going to be so nice to just have a nice, refreshing new welcome sign on the porch, and y'all, I cannot wait until I can get my entire porch spruced up for the spring summer season. It's still a little bit early here for me to do some planting, and it's still even too early to put annuals out because we're still getting freezing and frost at nighttime. And so I haven't started doing any of that yet, any of my gardening or filling up my planters or my pots, but it's coming. We're getting really close to that. And so I cannot wait to just pull this whole front porch together. But I do think this is a great start to getting our front porch all ready for the spring and summer season. I think this is so fun. I love how this sign is turning out so much. Y'all will have to let me know what you think of the end results. This next project is a very simple, easy project, and it worked up really quickly. So what I want to create here is a little Wi-Fi sign for our guest bedroom. I wanted to have something with all of our Wi-Fi information on it for our guests. So we cut this out on the laser cutter, and we cut out the initial shape, and then we were kind of like, oh, do we want to frame it? And I really went back and forth, back and forth. I was like, do I want the frame? Do I not want the frame? Do I want the frame? It was a back and forth. And in the end, I did decide to go without the frame. Y'all will have to let me know what you think. Would you have used the frame or would you have not? It was a really tough decision. I was really struggling with making that decision. Okay, so here, Michael is actually going to start working on the base for this. So the look that I was going for here, y'all, was that mid-century modern. And you know how in that mid-century modern look had a lot of geometric shapes. So that was sort of what I was going for, was just a funky geometric shape. But at the end of the day, it kind of looked like a tree, which is perfect for the spring and summer season. So Michael's just sort of cutting out a tree trunk here, and he is going to leave a small section at the very bottom of this. So we measured out where the distance between the actual sign itself. So you can see here we've got the top little squiggly line at the top and then the straight line at the bottom. The straight line at the bottom is going to be what sits right down into our base because we want this to be a freestanding sign. So we left a little bit at the bottom and then we traced where we want our glue line to be so that we know where to glue the sign. Then Michael comes in, does all of his fancy little measuring, and we kind of just free-handed this. We didn't really have a design because it's on the back. You're not really going to see it. So we just free-handed this, drew it into the best tree trunk sign, but we did taper it a little bit. As you can see what Michael did here, we just sort of tapered that out a little bit so that it kind of goes from narrow to wide, and then we just rounded off the top. Here, Michael is cutting all of the parts for the actual base. This is what's our little tree Wi-Fi sign is going to stand in. So he's cutting everything to the proper measurements. So this is going to be the length of it. Then he's going to come back in and cut that in half. Then he's going to put some grooves in that and then glue those two halves back together. And that's going to be what holds our sign up. I really hated watching Michael do this, y'all. The table saw is the scariest tool that we have in our wood shop. I hate the table saw. It scares me to death. And I did not enjoy watching Michael do this because it just felt to me like his fingers were getting way too close to that blade. But he finished the project and no fingers were lost in the making of this Wi-Fi tree stand sign. Okay, y'all, so now we have all of the pieces cut out. So you can see how the stand looks and how I hope it made sense how he was making this stand, how he cut the two pieces out, put the groove in it, and then glued them back together, and it made the perfect insert for the trunk of our sign. I keep calling it a tree trunk, but that was not my intention, but it really does look like a tree trunk, so we're just going to go with it. Now I just need to come in and sand everything, get it nice and smooth. So I'm just taking my little finger sander here, sanding everything down really well. I do sand the edges to sort of round them over a little bit just to give it a bit of that worn, used look. For the base of our stand, I did decide to go ahead and stain everything with some antiquing wax. I'm going to stain this piece. This is the piece that attaches to the sign itself, and I'm going to also stain the stand, the stand piece, the same color. So I'm just using some Waverly antiquing wax to do this. I cover the entire front, the backs, the sides, the edges, cover it all. And how I go about doing this is I put on a layer of the stain and then I come back in with a dry, clean cloth and kind of wipe it away, and it gives it that stained look. You can see the wood grain. I actually love using this stuff because it doesn't have any smell. It's non-toxic and it still gives you that beautiful stained look. And I love the color. I love that it's a really brownish black stain. You don't get any of that orangish red color that you can sometimes get with other stains. So I just repeat that same exact process here on the base. All right, let's see if this fits. I love how it fits. It actually fits so perfect in there. I'm not sure exactly how Michael did all the math on this, but it was brilliant. And the stand, I love it. It works fantastic. Okay, y'all, so now I'm going to go ahead and take the top part of our little sign here back to my laser cutter, and I'm going to just engrave. This is the engraving part, so I've engraved all of the pertinent information onto this sign, and now we can go ahead and start assembling it. So I'm just going to use some wood glue to do this. I'm going to evenly spread a nice good thick layer of wood glue onto the little tree trunk part, and then I'll go ahead and attach the sign. Okay, y'all, so here it is all engraved. I love having this cute little sign accessible for my guests. So they know the password, they know all the Wi-Fi info, and they can just easily connect and do all the stuff that they have to do. All right, so we've glued it to our little stand. We're going to go ahead and clamp it. We did leave the clamps on this for about an hour and a half. We removed them, and then we were able to attach this to the base, and voila, we have a really cute Wi-Fi sign for the guest room.
Well, I guess that's going to wrap up today's project. I do really hope that y'all enjoyed this. It's always my hope that the projects I come up with are somehow inspiring to all of you. So I hope that you got some inspiration from these and some good ideas as well. I will have, so don't forget, I will have the welcome letters available on our website within the next week for y'all. So if you are interested in those and would like to pre-order them, just shoot me an email and I will get those pre-ordered for y'all, and hopefully I'll have them on the website really, really soon, maybe even immediately. So we'll just have to see how all of that goes with my time. And the little Wi-Fi sign, if any of you are interested in that, I would be happy to make you one. Just shoot me an email and we can work out all the specifics and the details on that. So I guess that's it, friends. Thank you all so much for being here this week with me. And again, thank you all so much for your kind wishes, your thoughts, and all of your prayers. I do appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Until then, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye, friends.